You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the weekly Keep Canada Weird discussion series. If you're new here in Keep Canada Weird, my pal Handsome Aaron Airport and I seek out and explore some of the more offbeat news stories that played out in Canada over the last week. In tonight's episode, which was recorded on May 31st, 2022, we have an invasion of superpigs, a bunch of crap outside of an MLA's office, a perverted guy in a drive-thru, and a story of roller skates. So let's get into it. Handsome Aaron Airport, how's it going in Cape Breton? On Cape Breton Island?
Oh, on the island, it is going good.
Are the people content, would you say?
Some are restless, some are
Okay.
content. Some are happy, some are sad.
So it's been a real mixed bag there.
It's a real mixed bag, yeah. Some people are just like even emotionally, like, you know, they're not happy or sad. They're just existing. Some people are kind of really angry.
Oh, that's surprising
Mhm.
to see that much variety.
Yeah, but at the same time, some people are not angry.
I guess when you leave your house,
Yeah.
it must get pretty complicated. Because if you're in a community like that, how do you know how to treat anyone or how to react if someone approaches you?
I treat everyone how I want to be treated.
Which is you just leave them the hell alone.
Yeah, I stay far away from them.
What's new with you?
Not too much. Working on some projects,
Oh,
getting geared up for some summer shows and all that kind of stuff.
you say working on projects as if I'm not going to ask follow-up questions. What kind of projects are you talking about?
Oh, well, I'm writing a show right now for a theater in town here, so I'm working on that for the summer. And working on a music project. We're going to be doing a show at the Highland Arts Theater in July. So that's our
I know what show you're talking about. Are you ready to promote it yet? Maybe you can tell us, because I think that alone is like kind of a Keep Canada Weird kind of show. What are you doing?
Yeah, so we have a group of musicians. We're going to be performing the first album of the Bare Naked Ladies called Gordon.
Like
So
cover to cover.
That's cover song, yeah, front to back, yeah, from the beginning right to the end. So that album has like $1 Million, Brian Wilson, Grade 9, Yoko Ono, Enid, like all those big hits that they had in the early 90s are all from that album. So, so we've been practicing for a while, and we're trying to recreate it as closely as possible. And so now we have our first official show booked, July 28th at the Highland Arts Theater.
That's cool. And that's in Cape Breton. People can go. Listeners of the
it's downtown Sydney.
listeners of the show are welcome to go and cheer.
Yeah. Tickets are not on sale yet. I actually probably jumped the gun in announcing that there because I think the theater was going to announce it, but
You heard it here first.
that's breaking news. Yeah. Although
We'll see if it gets back to the theater.
they end up canceling the show
Yeah.
because of this.
Yeah, well, that's cool. You got a lot going on. I don't know what I have going on. I'll tell you what's going on with me is the recording of this show tonight, even. This is a Tuesday night, is at a great personal sacrifice to me because the latest season of Stranger Things is out. And I'm like a massive fan of Stranger Things. I don't know if you watch it. I've only watched 2 episodes so far, but tonight I pretty much had to call in all the favors with Mrs. Nighttime to be able to duck out of the living room.
Right. I haven't started the new season yet. I've watched the first 3 seasons.
Okay.
And I will dip into the this new season as well. I've got a lot of other shows on the go. Like I've got some room, but so there's the new Obi-Wan Kenobi series that just started on Disney Plus. The final season of Better Call Saul just finished its mid-season break, so that's going to free up a little bit of time. But there's also the new Staircase series I don't know if you've been watching that. I'm sure you saw the documentary. Did you?
I saw the documentary, but the reenactment one I haven't seen, but I've heard good things about it. But
It's really good. Yeah.
I will get to it eventually, I'm sure. But like you, it's
Yeah.
I kind of I'm pretty picky about what I spend the time watching. I don't like to like get sucked into a show that I don't enjoy and end up just wasting 10 hours watching.
Well, this is a really, really good show.
You should make the time to watch the new Stranger Things. Although I'm only 2 episodes in, what's cool is it's really kind of gone horror for this season, at least at the beginning. Like there's pretty scary moments right off the bat. And prior seasons of the show, like it had some creepy stuff, but this is like pretty intense at points. So
Yeah, season three, I remember not being totally crazy about.
good. Well, let's get into it. Our goal here is not to keep TV great; it's to keep Canada weird. And we got our work cut out for us tonight. We have a few stories to get into. We have, and they're kind of all over the place here. I titled the episode "A Pervy Drive-Through," "Some Wild Pigs," and "A Bunch of Crap Outside an MLA's Office." And then we have one other story, so maybe I'll have to adjust the title to also say "And a Pair of Roller Skates," and a brand new pair of roller skates. How do we start this? Because this is all
Oh my
we try to
goodness.
come up with a theme sometimes. This time there is no theme. These are four completely separate stories.
Yeah, yeah. So why don't we start with the poop?
Why not? In this this story, it involves a protest, but it's almost like the oldest trick in the book for protesting. Um,
Well, for pranking in
yeah, it's
general, this is more of a prank than it is a protest in my book.
I don't know, when you see there's a bit of meaning behind what they do. Um,
There is, but at the end of the day, it's poop at a door.
Yeah, but it's there's a reason that that's kind of a cliche because it's effective. So let me tell you about what's been going on here. The headline is Old
Hmm.
Growth Protesters Dump Manure in Front of Horgan's Constituency Office. So, the group of old growth protesters who've previously been blocking highways changed tactics Wednesday by dumping manure in front of Premier John Horgan's MLA constituency office. Save Old Growth say members chose to dump manure at Horgan's Langford office because of the NDP government's inaction to protect old growth forests. The NDP Horgan government doesn't seem to give a shit about following through on their promises to protect old growth. So we gave them some, Sophia Papp, a spokesperson for the group, said in a statement. So remember at the beginning I said like there's a bit of a meaning. That's the meaning, I guess. He doesn't give a S, so they gave him some.
Yeah, but I don't.
Um, well, yeah, there could be like a bit of revisionist history. Like we're gonna put poop on his front step, like in front of his office, but it needs to be a statement. And then they came up with that. I'm going to
Hmm.
continue though. So Czech News reached out to Czech News is whose article I'm reading here. So Czech News reached out to Horgan's office for a response, but Public Safety Minister Mike Farnworth sent a statement instead. Peaceful protest is part of our democratic society, but on the other hand, vandalizing property, preventing people from accessing services, and harassing local businesses is deplorable behavior, Farnworth said in his statement. For those who employ these reprehensible tactics, I can assure you that you achieve nothing but increasing the frustration of the local community. He said the nearby residents and businesses owners helped to clean up the area. Save Old Growth, which is the group, say the protest actions continue because the provincial government has not followed through in its campaign promise to implement the recommendations in the strategic review of how British Columbia manages old forests within its ancient ecosystems. The Premier himself promised a paradigm shift for the forestry industry in BC, an overdue and necessary step in protecting old growth. Instead, we're continuing the same outdated, crappy policies and practices we've had for decades. See, they're trying to get lots of like poop references in.
Yeah, that really registered when I was reading the article.
Mhm.
Just the obvious puns that they were going
Yeah,
for.
they're really swinging with it. West Shore RCMP officers were called to the office around 9:30 a.m., about 30 minutes after the incident. And in a release, the RCMP say the incident is being investigated as mischief. And then they invite anyone with information to call the West Shore RCMP and let them know who did this. Yeah, what do you think of this? Other than what we've already said, it's a pretty played out prank. I think that, like I said, there was a bit of revisionist history. I think they probably started with, we're gonna put poop on his in front of his office, and then they tried to market it by being like, he doesn't give a shit, so we gave him some.
Yeah. The connection with poo is not. I don't find it strong enough. Like if it was something that was a
Um,
bit more connected to old growth and the exact cause, I could see it being more effective. But this is just like, well, what can we do? It's like, well, I've got manure. We could, just dump it at his door. And we'll say because he's acting really, really crappy, and doing a crappy job, so we'll put crap at his door.
yeah. Uh, but one thing though, to be fair, or to at least be transparent, I do agree with the need to protect old growth forests.
That goes without saying, that everyone at the Nighttime Podcast supports old growth.
Yeah, but how do you? The entire team behind the Nighttime Podcast supports this.
Yeah.
But how do you get old growth into a protest? Like if
Well,
I'm
you organize a protest. You get numbers. That's what it takes to draw attention to issues, is having
a bunch.
lots of people
Mhm.
in one place showing that there are a lot of people that care about this issue, and that is what in the long term will be a more effective strategy.
Yeah, it is a numbers game because you can do like, this is only going to get them in trouble likely.
This is just a handful of people, showing up with a pickup truck and unloading a bunch of manure onto a door. It doesn't translate into any kind of a demographic of people, any kind of sizable amount of citizens that are concerned about that will affect, a politician's mindset.
Hmm.
It's large numbers of people protesting an issue and showing the government that look at how many of us care about this, and if you want our votes, and if you want to work for the citizens, these are the issues we care about.
Hmm.
That's why we're out protesting. So
And then if people don't understand the issues, there has to be other ways to go about letting them know. Because this doesn't tell, like, when I come across this story, all that sucks me in about it is like, oh my god, they put a bunch of poop, a bunch of manure on this guy's step. But
yeah,
I
it
don't, like,
actually.
if I don't understand the need for old growth forests or whatever, this doesn't send me to this educational moment. Yeah, I don't know.
Right. The poop aspect of it. Although someone in the chat's making a good point that said they have organized protests. Now they've reached your whole podcast audience. For more people should talk about old growth. But we're talking about it because of the poop. We're not talking about the issue of old growth.
Yeah.
I find the poop distracting from the issue. I feel like it's hard. It's hard to say. I don't think poop at the door is the way to do it, but looks like they're trying anything right now.
Yeah.
So
I will end though with, regardless of the protest or the issue, if you're gonna dump poop on someone's like office steps, I'm at least somewhat interested. That's just like I don't know if that's a character
but you
flaw
are
of me.
interested in the poop.
Yeah,
You're
like just
interested in
like
the poop.
I see photos of this situation where you see like a pile of it outside the office door, which is like an interesting image. I really wish there was video so you could see like people walking by and realizing it was there. Like I would like to see it almost more so in the context of like a YouTube prank video or something.
You're thinking of it more of one of those
Like
just for laughs gags shows where like people are walking down the sidewalk and they smell it and they see it. They're like, ah.
yeah, what is this all about? Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, let's move on to the next one. Since we're kind of on like agriculture, ecology sort of thing, maybe we should stay kind of in this realm. Because there's another story that it wasn't until I stumbled upon an article that just came out, a CBC article like yesterday or the day before, that it opened my eyes to what's happening with an invasive species of wild boars or wild pigs that are spreading across some parts of Canada. And some experts are predicting that it's only a matter of time before we have them in cities, much like we would have like raccoons and stuff. They're referred to in the CBC article as superpigs, and it's pretty nuts. And again, when I started Googling it and reading about this, I was finding articles going back for years being like, they're coming, there's more of them, we're looking for more of them, there's a bounty to kill them. And now it's gotten to the point where it's just like, it seems like it's out of control and it's only a matter of time.
Known to be elusive and destructive creatures, experts say a growing population of wild pigs is wreaking havoc on the Canadian prairies, including here in Manitoba. Wild pigs, also known as wild boar, were brought to Manitoba from Europe as part of a livestock diversification initiative. Most, if not all, are now the product of interbreeding with domestic pigs. Now, Manitoba Pork has teamed up with the federal and provincial governments to try and get rid of the animals that are roaming wild spaces.
They've been described as an ecological time bomb, and they really are. They're an invasive species.
Manitoba Invasive Swine Eradication Project Coordinator Wayne Lees says wild pigs destroy natural environments and farmland by eating plants and crops, and can pose risks to human safety through injury. Manitobans can now report online or by phone any sightings and movements of the animals through a campaign new to the province called Squeal on Pigs. University of Saskatchewan Associate Professor Ryan Brook has been researching and tracking wild pigs for more than 12 years. He says efforts such as the Squeal on Pigs campaign, which started in the U.S. and has been adopted by other provinces, are important to help control the spread of the population because they can impact everyone, including in and around cities, where they've been spotted in the U.S.
You should only be worried about wild pigs if you farm, if you live in cities, if you live outside of cities, if you hunt, fish, hike, or spend any time outdoors. Otherwise, you're probably okay.
Jill, the sicko in the chat, asks if they're edible.
Oh, well, I'm sure in some capacity.
Probably, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, pigs, I think of bacon and
sausages.
Products, sausage, yes.
But the idea of them being like invasive to the point that they're become fixtures in the cities, that's kind of weird. I just made a YouTube video a couple days ago. What's happened in my neighborhood is there's this area by my house that used to be a big forest, but they're now clearing it because they're building like a medical kind of, not a hospital, but like a medical center. And they're putting a new Costco in. So it's this big forest area that's now just flattened. There's no trees there anymore. And ever since they started that project, my neighborhood is just full of deer. So I have a bunch of tulips in my front yard, and I haven't seen them in 5 years because as soon as they start growing, there'll be just a crowd of deer in my front yard, like eating the tulips. And it's not uncommon. And I live like right in Halifax, but it's not uncommon for me to look out my window in the middle of the day and see a group of 8 deer just like walking across my yard. And I made a YouTube video a few days ago. I was checking the mail, and there was just like this big deer just standing next to my mailbox, like eating leaves. But anyway, like when you see like a deer in a city, it's kind of crazy. Even seeing a raccoon, like just like this cool animal, that it's kind of neat to see it.
No, there's lots of raccoons around here. I saw one on my back step a few weeks ago. But like even like foxes too, I find are getting more comfortable in the urban setting. Like I was over Randy's house the other night, and we were standing outside, and just this fox just comes trotting down the sidewalk.
Really? And he's again right in like downtown Sydney, pretty much.
Well, yeah, right downtown. And the fox was just trotting along. Didn't really care that we were standing there. Wasn't nervous or scared or anything. And I've been finding that lately, like they're more comfortable. And which means which is not good.
I'll tell you though, foxes are such beautiful animals. I wish they could tame those. I'd love, or if you could like domesticate them. Imagine having a fox in your house. They're gorgeous. And it has such cool eyes too. If you ever see them up close, they're amazing. But like seeing a pig, if I was in, I don't know, going out to check my mail and there was a wild boar or just like this big screwed up looking thing with these like weird like horns sticking out of its face, I'd be pretty freaked out. They can mess you up if you got near. Like a deer would just take off,
yeah.
But a pig would rip you apart if it got near you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, they can be aggressive, and I wouldn't tangle with one. If I saw one, I wouldn't go near it.
Mm-hmm.
I would watch from the window and
just hope it leaves. And they're
get out of here. I don't want any trouble with you. I respect your power, but I don't want any trouble.
You would say all that?
Yes, in pig.
Because that's the only way to reason with them, I guess, is just to like concede.
It's just to say, yes, I submit. Mm-hmm. I'm submitting to you by staying in here and not going near you. I recognize that you are more powerful than me, and you control me, and I fully submit.
Good. Well, that's good advice. So now, like, I guess if anyone watching this show or listening to this show runs into something like that, they'll have a better idea of how to handle it.
Yeah, I am no danger to you, pig.
Let's get into some Canadian crime. What do you think?
Yes, please.
This week in Crime in Canada.
Before we went on air, I don't know if it was some kind of like attack on my topic selection or maybe a kind of a backhanded way of calling me a deviant. But this is a crime story that involves, I guess this would be sexual harassment or sexual assault. I don't know what you would classify this as.
Of course, yes, it definitely fits into that category.
But which one would it be? Well, I guess maybe when we get through the story, they'll say what this person is.
Indecent exposure, I guess. I don't, but I would put it in the sexual assault.
Let's just call it like some weird glove guy stuff. Which I thought of him when I read the story. So this is something from my hometown, my current hometown of Halifax, that's been lighting up the news for a little bit here. So the headline is going to give away what's happening. The headline is Halifax police search for a man who exposed himself in Dartmouth drive-thrus. And I think they were both Tim Hortons drive-thrus. So let's see. Halifax Regional Police are searching for a man after receiving 2 reports about indecent acts in Dartmouth early Friday morning. In a release, police say they responded shortly after 7 a.m. Oh, usually when you hear like something weird happen, Friday morning, what they mean is like 3 in the morning. This is 7 in the morning. And I think like 3 in the morning is different than 7 in the morning. 3 in the morning is Friday night. 7 in the morning, it's like Saturday morning, You know what I mean? It's like a different day. Anyway, let me get through it. Just when I hear an article and they're like something happened Friday, early Friday morning, and it's at 2 a.m. I'm like, oh, they mean like super late Thursday night. Although the calendar date is Friday. There's this vague kind of period of time, like when one night ends and it becomes morning of the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like if I'm out on the town and it's, I go out Friday night and it's turns to 3 a.m. or something. I still don't consider it Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I still consider it
so
Friday.
Okay, so here's the example. It's it's Friday, it's 9 o'clock at night. We just had supper and then we're going to go out and, for a drink or whatever on the town. We're out on the town. Then we're walking home together and someone pulls over their car, jumps out and they punch you in the face. And you look at your watch and it's 1 a.m. 3 days later, would you say early Saturday morning, some guy just like attacked me? Or would you say?
No, I'd say Friday night. Is this you and me walking?
And the buddy hit you.
It's you and I. And what do you do when
I filmed the whole thing. I was on I was on Instagram Live is what I would have done.
Does the person run because you're filming or
they realize?
So I just get punched once and then the person leaves.
Yeah, because I start shouting like I'm filming this, buddy.
No, you should say, I respect you, I submit.
Regardless, let me get into this here. So in a release, stop interrupting me. In a release, police say they responded shortly after 7 a.m. to a report of an indecent act at a drive-thru of a McDonald's restaurant on Main Street in Dartmouth. It wasn't Tim's. After a man was seen exposing himself to staff while waiting for an order. The indecent act was believed to have happened around 4 a.m., the release said. Okay, sorry. I'm getting this mixed up. So what it was 7 a.m. they called, but it happened at 4 a.m., so 3 hours later?
It happened at 4
Okay,
a.m.
so it happened late at night, not early in the morning. Okay, that makes more sense. So here we go. Then, just after 10 a.m., police responded to a second report of an indecent act, this time at the drive-thru of a Tim Hortons restaurant on Pleasant Street in Dartmouth. A very similar incident was reported, as reported earlier, was given to police in which a man exposed himself to staff at the drive-thru window. This incident was believed to have happened at or near 5 a.m. this morning, just an hour or so after the original incident. The man is described as being white, between 25 and 30 years old, with short brown or blonde hair, with facial hair and blue eyes. His vehicle is described as an older four-door maroon sedan. Police say no license plate number was obtained. The suspect was wearing a gray hoodie at the time of the incident. And due to the proximity of the businesses, the timing of the occurrences, the suspect, and the vehicle description, police say the same person is likely involved. And they request anyone with information to contact Halifax police. So I have to ask you, what is going on with this guy alone in a car exposing himself to two different drive-through window people? Like, what did he think was going to happen?
Well, it's just getting his jollies. That this is his thing. He
That's just,
he gains pleasure from exposing himself in these situations, I guess, and gives an order, and then when he pulls up to the window,
maybe he just
he's doing
he just
something.
enjoys maybe the
voyeuristic aspect
like the
of it,
backwards voyeuristic. But it's, you often hear of like a flasher, someone who would just like, I don't like this. They're wearing a trench coat and they're naked underneath, and they just open it and surprise you. I don't know if that actually happens,
Yeah.
but this is kind of like the lazy version of that. Doing it in your car at a drive-through. I don't like people messing with people while they're working either. Like the person who works back shift at Tim Hortons and McDonald's, they got it bad enough. Just leave. Just don't even ask them any questions. Just leave them be.
At least they're, separated by a car and a drive-through window. So
Maybe that's,
and usually like if you're working a back shift at a fast food restaurant, all the doors are locked and everything, and it's just you inside.
Mm-hmm.
So at least there's more barriers in between, the victim and the predator at that point. But like, in the traditional sense that you talked about with the trench coat, and the naked guy underneath, that guy's on the street corner or something.
he could run up and get you. Well, at least in this case, with there being this, the difference in space between the person in the drive-through, like in the business looking out the window, and the guy in the car, it's a bit safer for the victim, but also I wonder if it's a bit more empowering for the predator, like, because he's like, he probably feels safe being in his own vehicle. He can hit the gas and take off if he has to.
But at the same time, it's more likely to get caught.
How do they not have his license plate? You would think they'd have cameras that.
Well, maybe like I would assume that if you have cameras at a drive-through, you're going to want the cameras pointed at an angle so you can see the license plate number.
You would think, yeah, because in case you get robbed or, whatever the case may be, you would think.
Yeah, you're going to want to, be able to identify the vehicle.
Yeah, and then also, even if these businesses, like, I think they should get this person, and even if these businesses don't have cameras, you'd think that, the neighboring gas station or whatever, generally like a McDonald's and a Tim Hortons have other kind of businesses around it that would have cameras. They should get this person. People can't do this sort of stuff. It's just like, like catcalling. When that happens, that's so upsetting. I don't know if you've ever kind of witnessed it. You're like walking and you hear a bunch of like people just like yell at some girl who's like walking alone down the street or something like that. That's so like, I find that so upsetting. This is like taking that to the 1000th degree. Like, it's almost like an unsolicited private part picture, but done to someone like in person while they're working. Like, that's just so nasty. They got to get this guy.
Yeah, definitely troubling behavior, that's for sure. It needs to be taken off the street. But yeah, it's kind of it's weird to think about. He's kind of focused on drive-throughs, maybe he was. It all happened in the same night.
They were an hour apart, and they were very close, like just a couple minutes drive from each other. So this guy was like, he was certainly out doing that. Like, whatever happened between these two sightings, I'm sure he was doing other weird stuff to someone else, and maybe it just didn't get reported.
Yeah, I wonder if he was drunk.
Could be.
Yeah, maybe he was just driving around hammered, doing crazy stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, he sucks.
Yeah. Hopefully they catch him, and hopefully, he doesn't do it again. Yeah, I guess we'll see if he pops up somewhere else.
Let's move on to something lighter. We need a palate cleanser, right?
Yes.
I was in the car the other day, and on the radio was the song by Melanie called Brand New Key, I think is the song. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I've got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key.
It's like a 70s kind of tune. I love that song.
I rode my bicycle past your window last night. I roller skated to your door at daylight. It almost seems like you're avoiding me. I'm okay alone, but you got something I need. Well, I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key. I think that we should get together and try them out, you see. I've been looking around a while. You got something for me. Oh, I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key.
I thought of that song when I saw this article. Although I have some serious questions about the real story behind this article, because it seems too crazy to be true. Let me get into this. So this is a story that was spread around over the past week, again taking place in Halifax, and it involves a woman buying a used pair of roller skates from Facebook Marketplace, and only to realize that they were actually hers from 40 years prior. Which is, like, I don't know. It just, like, to me, it's crazy. It seems like the plot of a movie or something.
Renee Forstall hadn't laced up a pair of roller skates in more than 40 years. She wanted to try it again as a fun way to exercise, so she bought new skates last month. She practiced for a week, but they didn't fit right. Not like the ones she had when she was young. So she searched online classified sites and quickly found a similar pair in questionable condition.
They said, well, here it is, if that you think that's going to fit your foot, you're welcome to try it. And I thought, it's a bit dodge. So I kept kind of scrolling. I thought, but $40, that's a good deal. So I kind of and I thought, they do look like the ones I used to have.
Forstall says when she first saw them, they were pretty dirty. But once she got her foot in one of the skates, she knew she found a good fit.
It's like a Cinderella and the slipper moment. It was very strange. It was like a perfect fit. I couldn't believe it. And they felt good. It wasn't even like the new ones I had, like they were broken into my foot.
Forstall says she started asking the seller when he got the skates, when things got even stranger.
As he's telling me, I flipped back the tongue, and there's my name. And I was like, what? And I couldn't even believe it. I thought, how? And then I said, this is me. These were mine. When I saw my name, and I kind of, the shock kind of absorbed, and I felt tears welling up in my eyes. And I think because, I'm not even sure. I think because suddenly I was reeled back to my youth, like 40 years ago. It was like, boom, like life flashed before my eyes.
For Forstall, it can't be a coincidence. She felt a desire to roller skate again. She logged online to find the right pair, and she was reunited with her 40-plus-year-old skates.
The universe works in mysterious ways. Let's put it that way. And I think, things come around for a reason.
I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key.
Do you believe this story?
I believe it. I can't see why that they would fabricate this, weird, but also kind of crazy, mundane story too. Like in a way that, like, why would you make up a story about? And the roller skates belong to me.
40. Yeah, it is like the most mundane coincidence. But if you think, over the passage of 40 years, how many pairs of roller skates are just floating around Halifax, Nova Scotia, or
it's
Canada?
an outstanding kind of coincidence.
And then if you see this roller skates in the article, they're just the most typical, like, white leather roller skates with, like, red wheels. Just the kind that you would, every time I go to Value Village or whatever, there's like a pair of them there.
Yeah. Well,
the fact that she gets back into roller skates, tries to buy a pair. These happen to be listed. She goes and tries them on, and they're her old skates. That is just nuts. Just the odds. It must be like a 1 in a million kind of thing. But it's just like, instead of winning the lottery, you end up just getting your old roller skates.
Yeah. Well, I was going through the shirts at Value Village the other day, and I came across one that I had, one of my shirts that I had, dropped off a while back.
But dropped off at that Value Village,
yeah.
And even that is a big coincidence. Oh my God, this
I was
was
like,
mine.
oh
I dropped
yeah,
it off
this is
here.
the shirt that I dropped off here. Like there was a number of shirts that I had dropped off that didn't fit me anymore. And I was like, oh, that's my shirt.
You should have called CBC. That'd be an amazing article.
Yes, it's interesting.
Local man reunited with shirt he dropped off at Value Village
Local
3
man
months prior.
who wears plaid shirts finds his old plaid shirt at the Value Village that he dropped it off at
3 months earlier. And it could be a picture of you, just like, you could have a plaid shirt.
Yes. I just had a gut feeling that I was going to come across a plaid shirt that used to belong to me.
I gave it to them for free, and now they want $30 for it.
Yeah,
and it's ripped.
because it's Wind River.
Value Village and their pricing. That's Keep Canada Weird. Is I should have like someone from Value Village on to explain how they come up with their prices.
Yeah. Well, my theory, it's the mood of the individual working that day, and just picking up shirts and being like, $5. Oh, my girlfriend just broke up with me. $30, $40.
Yeah, that would explain it.
That's how I think it works anyway.
So there's something before we, well, I don't think I had anything else to say about the skates. I'm glad she got her skates back. That must be cool.
It's a nice treat. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That she got her skates back, and I love those old skates. We used to have a roller skating rink here in Sydney called Wheelies.
Oh my gosh, I went all the time. It was right by my house.
Yeah, and I used to love going. It was a lot of fun.
I used to go just to play the arcade games. They had
the arcade games, and pool tables, and but the roller skating rink was fun. I could never stop on roller skates. Like I was good at skating, but I could never stop. So the walls were carpeted around the rink.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just run into the wall to stop every time.
That's a throwback. At the beginning, I talked about watching the new season of Stranger Things. One of the episodes, in the second episode, one of the kind of the centerpiece set kind of the second episode of the fourth season all takes place in a roller rink that, as I was watching, I'm like, oh my God, that reminds me so much of like Wheelies, the roller rink in Sydney growing up. Cool.
Yeah, some of my earliest memories are at Wheelies. I remember winning a crazy hat competition there when I was really young.
Do you remember what was crazy about your hat?
It had like antennas on it and pins and stuff. I don't remember much else about it.
Before we wrap this up, you remember we're recording this on May 31st, so we're only 6 days away. You remember what June 6th is, right?
June 6th.
Mm-hmm. This is a throwback to last week's episode. There's something going on June 6th. Something is dropping at Tim Hortons that we're both
Oh, the new Bieber.
He's doing it. Justin's bringing his new coffee out.
Coffee. Yeah.
That is June 6th. So that'll be next. What day of the week does that fall on? June 6th that's next Monday. So we can do that on air if you can drink a
on
coffee
Tuesday. Yeah. We'll both get one
Mm-hmm.
and have it for the recording, and we'll try it.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
We could maybe even do like a special kind of episode where we get it like on opening day or something if you really want to get crazy. We'll think about it. I think we should make this big though, because this is a big deal.
Yeah, no, we need to tune in next week. We'll be trying the Bieber coffee.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that'll be like another season finale kind of episode.
This is our mid-season cliffhanger.
I think we did that 2 weeks ago, though. We did a mid-season
I think every episode is our mid-season
finale.
I think. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up with that, Aaron. We got a lot to work on researching this new coffee and preparing for that. So, Aaron, until next time.
Jordan, until next time.
Keep it in your pants at the drive-thru.
The sun shines where the sun doesn't shine.
I want to thank you for joining Aaron and I for our Keep Canada Weird discussion. But before we part, I'm going to give some thanks. First, a big thanks to Aaron for sharing another evening with me and with you, the listeners of Nighttime. A big thanks to the internet's favorite cult leader, Unicole, for supplying the intro and outro voiceovers. But the most important thanks, as usual, goes out to every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, this show would be as pointless as it would be impossible. But with that said, keeping the show alive is, and it has always been, an uphill battle. So if you want to help take some weight off the show's back, make sure you're listening on the premium feed. And not only does the premium feed keep the show alive, it gives you more of each topic than you'll find here on the free feed, as I'm adding exclusive content regularly. So for about the price of a cup of coffee, go premium at patreon.com/nighttimepodcast. And on this topic, let me thank the latest subscribers to the premium feed. Jennifer, Jacqueline, and Lee, thank you for your generous support. For anyone else who'd like to support the show but can't do it financially, you can give me a big hand by simply sharing this episode on your social media and letting some like-minded friends know what we're doing here. If you have any story ideas, if you want to get feedback on the show, or if you'd like to contribute a voice memo to be aired in an upcoming episode, you can do all that and more at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. Aaron and I hope to hear from you. But until then, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let me know if you see anything weird.
The Nighttime Podcast is written, hosted, and produced by Jordan Bonaparte. Copyright Jordan Bonaparte.
Beautiful, serene, majestic. The true North. Strong and weird.